Hey guys, I'm really sorry to have to cancel class again after last week, but I'm just feeling awful. I'm running a fever and coughing and have a headache and just like a whole pile of COVID symptoms. So, I'm hoping that it's something minor or like the flu or something, not COVID, but I didn't want to risk it, especially since I've been exposed to students who do have that, and are in quarantine now. So I thought it was safer for everyone for me to cancel class. This lecture will cover the material for both cohorts, and what you'll need to know going into your compare contrast essay. So this will basically be the same thing we would have covered in class. So as a reminder, you start with the start page. Hopefully you guys are already doing that. But let's just kind of look at it really quickly together just to kind of get a sense for what you'll be doing. So remember to review the compare contrast booklet. Read all of it. It's not long. It's actually, I think, about 25 pages. And it's in your interest to do the exercises in the booklet because those are the same ones that I refer to in the exercises on Canvas. And a student told me yesterday that they didn't know how to, or earlier today actually, how to access the booklet. You can access it right here and just download it. It's just a Word document and it'll pop up. This is more information. I make these for you guys so that you'll have all the tools necessary to write a compare, contrast, or whatever mode we're working on. And this one has a lot of really helpful information in it. So definitely make sure you look at it if you haven't already because it'll cover more than I can do here while talking. Okay, let's go back over to the start page. We're about to look at the compare contrast. Make sure you do the exercises on Friday, and then we'll talk about the rest of the assignments in a minute. So let's go find that PowerPoint. I have it on my computer elsewhere, but I'm doing it this way to make it so that you can see how to do it yourself if you want to refer back to it later. Okay. So, writing a compare-contrast essay, so that's what we're talking about today. The goals are to illuminate subtle differences between two things that seem similar or reveal unexpected similarities in two things that initially seem different. It's also to demonstrate thought process when assessing options or to evaluate different things or options to determine which is better or worse. A lot of you, I think, have been exposed to this before, so I'm hoping I can kind of go through it pretty quickly. So the main strategies here to form a basis of comparison. It's easiest to compare two things of the same type. So two jobs, two breeds of dogs, two hobbies, not a job or a breed of dog because those are not going to have enough similarities to work. And I apologize about my cat. She's really worried about me and she wants me to go back to bed. So she'll probably yell at me until I do that. Don't try to juggle too much. I see a lot of students try to cover every possible similarity and every possible difference. And, if you're being insightful, you can go on for pages about similarities and differences. So you try it's best to kind of focus on one similarity and three differences or one difference and three similarities. And you'll want to choose a structured approach, either subject by subject or point by point, which we're about to talk about. So there are really two ways to approach a compare-contrast paragraph or essay. They're subject by subject and point by point. So subject by subject looks at attributes of one topic and the other in succession. It's best for paragraphs and short responses or for situations where you're being objective rather than making an evaluation. Point by point I find easier. It compares two topics side by side based on certain attributes. It's better for essays and in-depth discussions or when you're evaluating one option over another to assess whether or not it's better. These are not mutually exclusive. You will have some overlap between them, but it's still a good idea to choose one or the other. So here's side-by-side comparison of the two types of of structures. So in the first one, you might have, if you had the thesis statement of my two cousins are very different, you would have a paragraph where you talked about Joanne, and then you would talk about her appearance, personality, and hobbies and interests. And you'd have a paragraph where you talked about Mary and talk about her appearance, personalities, hobbies, and interests. And then your conclusion would focus on why the cousins are complete opposites. In a point by point, your thesis statement is the same, but your first paragraph is going to talk about appearance, and it's going to talk about Joanne and Mary's appearance. Second, it's going to talk about personality. It's going to talk about Joanne and Mary's personality. Third, hobby, Joanne and Mary. And again, your conclusion is probably going to be pretty similar. So breaking this down, these more examples. So here we have for topic, if this would be subject by subject. Topic A, your first paragraph is going to be on academic writing, paragraph structure, point of view, and tone. Your topic B is going to be on professional writing, paragraph structure, point of view, and tone. And here's an example of that paragraph. For the sake of time, I'm not going to read through the whole thing. You can find it here. You can also find it in the booklet. But you'll notice that a topic sentence states both topics to be compared to contrast. Then you have topic A here, topic B here, and a conclusion sentence. And then you have transitional words showing the shift of thought. This is all a single paragraph, but in your essays you would have topic A be its own sentence in a subject by subject, and topic B be its own paragraph in a subject by subject. And the other way to do it is point by point. So with the same topic, you could do academic, paragraph structure would be your first point, and you would talk about academic and professional writing. Then point of view would be your second point, academic and professional writing. Third point's tone, academic and professional writing. And although it cut off at the bottom, the transition sentence is the same in both of these. So topic sentence here, point 1 talks about paragraph structure. Point 2 talks about point of view in both types of writing, and point 3 talks about tone in both types of writing. And you have transition sentences, words and phrases, same as before, topic, sentence, and conclusion. So pre-writing for the compare contrast. So let's look at prompts. So compare contrast prompts will ask you to compare or contrast or assess two or more something. So what you're looking for are certain keywords or signal words, and you're looking for two or more things in the prompt. So, your words you might look for: compare, contrast, similarities, differences, alike, apply, and relate. Relate comes up a lot more in upper level classes, where it's like relate what we talked about in class about X to two poems that we've studied. How does this concept show in these two works? So then you'll want to develop a topic, and you'll do that by analyzing the prompt. So you'll start with, what are you being asked to compare and contrast? What do these things have in common, and how are they different? And you can use pre-writing strategies to come up with possible details before reversing the prompt and writing the thesis statement. And you'll see this is different than in the descriptive narrative where we did this before. Some good pre-writing strategies are lists, T-charts, and Venn diagrams. And I go into a lot more detail about those in the booklet. So if you want information, definitely check that out. You can do a thesis in two different ways: objective or evaluative. In an objective thesis, you're going to start by reversing the prompt. X and Y seem similar in that, then add in your evidence, but they're actually different and then put them together. So X and Y seem similar in that blank, but they're actually different because blank, blank, and blank. An evaluative thesis is similar, but we're going to add in an evaluative statement. So you'll start by reversing the prompt. X and Y have blank in common, but X is better. This should be because instead of or. So I can actually change that while I'm in here. Okay, because blank, and then you'll put it together. X and Y have blank in common, but X is better because of blank, blank, and blank. And then after you've made your thesis statement, you'll decide on a structure. So compare and contrast essays involve a lot of information. The more organized you are at the beginning, the easier it will be. I know it seems like extra steps, but it really does help here. You want to decide between point by point and subject by subject, and definitely write a quick outline or some pre-writing just to help you envision how it's all going to come together. So we'll talk briefly just a little bit more about the two structures. So subject by subject. When you're writing the body, your topic sentences will focus on the subjects being discussed in succession. So your first one will talk about topic A. You know, if your topic sentence for your first body paragraph, talk about topic A. Your topic sentence for your second body paragraph will talk about topic B, and so on. Your exposition will list all the qualities for that subject, good and bad. Your transition sentences will summarize the evidence. Your introduction will start with a hook, as always, a startling statistic, an anecdote, or a quote, or good options. Then you'll use context. You'll define the terms being discussed for the reader if they're unfamiliar, and give a brief overview of what you'll talk about. And then your thesis for subject by subject will simply focus on explaining similarities or differences. Your conclusion, you'll recap the thesis and main points, and if there's any evaluation or assessment, if needed, it will occur there. Point by point, your topic sentence will address specific qualities of each topic. So instead of going topic A and topic B, you'll talk about aspect 1 of topic A and B. It'll normally address multiple topics, and they tend to be more evaluative. Exposition normally alternates between topics and normally expresses why differences make one better or worse than the other. And the transition summarizes evidence and evaluates why one is worse or better. And then the introduction and conclusion are pretty similar in a point by point as they are in a subject by subject. I think I have time to go through the example essay real quick. So if I was doing the prompt, and I think this is one of the prompts, you have the option of compare and contrast two places that you've lived or would like to live. What's something they have in common? What are some important differences? Where would you prefer to live? So I decided to do some quick comparing between Jacksonville and just do some quick listings. So both are cities in Alabama that are relatively populated, at least compared to where I grew up. Gadsden's more urban. I have more friends in Jacksonville. The cost of living is lower in Jacksonville, but there's more to do in Gadsden, and it has lakes, which I like, bodies of water, and is prettier. So my thesis, I might say both Jacksonville and Gadsden are cities in East Alabama, but I prefer Jacksonville because of the lower cost of living, the sense of community I feel there, and the small town feel. This is an evaluative thesis, so I'm saying why I prefer one over the other. And you'll notice that I have the claim here and that I have my main points here. That's really important in this type of essay, to have both the claim and a preview of the evidence. And so I've also decided to use the point-by-point structure here. So for the first paragraph, I'm talking about the cost of living. My topic sentence might be that Jacksonville has a lower cost of living than Gadsden. So then my first point for that, is the cost of the housing. So many apartments in Jacksonville are available for under $600 a month because the complexes have to compete with college housing. And in Gadsden, apartments in a safe neighborhood start closer to $800 a month. I think there's some stuff missing here, so it's okay, we'll just keep going. So my second point is transportation. So I work in Jacksonville, so living there reduces my daily commute greatly. If I lived in Gadsden, I would need to plan to drive 45 minutes each way, which means that I would have to pay more gas, car insurance, and wear and tear in my car. And then the transition is the lower cost of living makes Jacksonville a better choice for my budget. And so in the same paragraph, I decided to also talk about community. So I feel a greater sense of community in Jacksonville compared to Gadsden. So then I'm talking about friends. I graduated from JSU and I still have a lot of friends there. In Gadsden, I know very few people and would less likely feel invested in the community. And then I also talk about coworkers. Because I work in Jacksonville, many of my coworkers and students live there as well, which makes it easier for me to meet colleagues in a bar, hang out after work, or meet students than it would be in Gadsden. And the transition is the sense of community makes Jacksonville a place that I would be more likely to call home than Gadsden. This thing will time out at 15 minutes, so I'm trying to go quickly. Third thing, same deal, except I'm doing small town. I grew up in a rural neighborhood, so this is my first point. Transition. Give you a couple seconds to read it. And then here's how I would do the introduction. So I would start with a hook. In 2018, after a series of difficult life events, I made the unexpected move to Gadsden. And then talking kind of about some background, defining Gadsden and Jacksonville, and then I get to my thesis. And then I would have my conclusion as well. So here's some questions you might ask yourself for evaluating and revising. Again, these are in the booklets as well, along with some editing. And remember to proofread, please. A lot of points are taken off.